Welcome back, and I'd like to introduce you to Pastor Jeremy Nosson and Pastor Jason Adams, two of my favorite people on the planet.
Glad to be here.
And they are pastors in Las Vegas, and they are up to something good.
Yes, indeed. Welcome.
We're always up to something.
Always up to something.
Something.
But mostly it's good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly it's good.
So would you like to tell us what that something good is all about?
We have a big worship festival coming up on May 6th here in Las Vegas, and what's amazing to me is that we're getting 3 churches in Las Vegas to come together on one day, outdoors, to worship together.
Which is a miracle in itself.
Absolutely.
It kind of is, but sometimes it's easier than you think. You just throw those ideas out there and people go, okay.
So tell us a little bit about the service.
Well, the idea really is to mold together or meld together for one day these 3 congregations and in a way that both appreciates and uplifts the different strengths and gifts that each of the communities have, but then also really is trying to do that work together and usher in this idea that really, in part of what I feel very passionate about, is that maybe for the new season of the church in this coming day and this coming time is a time of working together and looking at a stronger church of networking together and putting resources and people and having the same kind of commitment. So the idea of doing that together in worship, we're doing a sermon where each 3 of the pastors are going to take a part of it.
But you promised us they're not all full length.
Right, yeah, no.
It's
we're not.
20 minutes apiece.
Right. It's just an hour.
Is that long? Is it too long?
I guess it depends.
There's food.
There's food.
Yeah, there's food.
Yeah,
Huh?
if you're eating, you're fine.
There's food.
Yeah.
So where is this event taking place?
We're going to be at Lorenzi Park, which is a nice centrally located part of Las Vegas. It's at Washington and Rancho, for those that don't know. And, the idea kind of came about a year ago. We were in Phoenix for our Synod Assembly when all these churches get together, and a lot of people from the Las Vegas area and our conference got together, and they said, we used to do a lot of things together. Why don't we do that anymore? We want to be together. We want to get to know people from the other churches. And I said, what's stopping us? What is preventing us from worshiping together? And I think it's just a natural progression of relationships and having 3 fairly new pastors here in Las Vegas and congregations that have known each other and know people there and I know people over here, and we just said, hey, we can all get together and do this and get outside and have some fun.
That's right.
So if the community wanted to come, they're welcome.
Absolutely.
Isn't that kind of the point?
Yeah, come one, come all.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
As
being
you
out
are?
in the public, and being seen too. That's part of it. Is sometimes our worship only happens within the walls of our churches, and so it's not just the combining of our churches, but then doing it in this public space and being able to profess that together in this world that we're in, that we're here to serve, and our community that we serve. It's really neat to be able to do that. Really, literally, almost in the heart of the city on the map, if you looked at it. But
so you both talk a little bit about being the church and what that looks like. And it's not necessarily the building. So
absolutely not. I mean, our unity is in Jesus.
Right.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're about. So the relationships that we build around that are focused on pointing to Jesus everywhere we go. Out in the world, out in parks and streets and soccer fields.
Absolutely.
This is where we are the church. And it doesn't have to be just inside the walls of a sanctuary or a fellowship hall or a middle school or wherever you worship, but to carry that hope and that love that we have for each other everywhere we go.
one of the things that we were talking about earlier, maybe you saw it, was the extra grace required. And I think the two of you kind of epitomized that, is extra grace and extending that to the community.
Because we need it.
Because we all need it. That's right.
Yeah.
We were talking about traffic situations.
Oh man, yeah.
Grace, we need lots
Grace
of grace.
all over.
Yes.
Paint the roads.
So so it's at Lorenzi Park. What did you say the time?
They didn't.
We're going to start at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. we
Yeah.
start. We're going to go till about 1 o'clock. We've got food and
You're gonna
everything
preach
is
till
there.
1?
Yes.
It's all preaching. All preaching.
The whole time.
There's music. We're going to
Yeah.
pray. We're going to do what we
Pray.
do as a
Amen.
church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And then
really
we're
why
gonna
it's
have
called
a-
a festival.
That's
Right.
right.
That's right.
Right, and we're gonna have a meal after. Kent Larson from Thrive In is gonna be there with some burgers and the grill, and then we're gonna have some sides for
I've
everybody.
had some of
and-
Kent Larson's food.
Yeah.
It's
He knows how to
exceptional.
cook.
He knows how to
Oh,
cook.
We're grateful for
Exceptional.
Kent and Marshall
He
Larson.
knows how to cook.
Yeah.
So, but all who come are welcome to bring a side dish.
Yep.
Bring something to eat, something special that you like to make. Bring a chair if you
Chair
want to
you
be a
gotta
little
sit
more
on.
comfortable.
Unless you want to stand.
You can stand, you can sit on the
run
floor, you
around,
can bring a blanket.
jog.
Absolutely.
So you said something just a minute ago about the direction of the church
Sure.
now.
Kind of a
Would
new
you
age,
say
yeah,
a
new
little bit more
season.
about that?
Well, part of what I love the idea of the show, something to chew on, right? And what is it that the church is? I think the church is always a deeply connected body of people and moment to something that's much deeper, but it's always something that is also moving forward. And so to me, kind of that idea of what's new and why that's important to think about is because the world's changing always, and so the ways that we do ministry also have to change. And sometimes I think just innately in our humanness, we sometimes want our religion to stay the same. And we want it to be the same way it was when I was 2, the same way it was when I was in confirmation, the same way it was that my grandma talked to me. And certainly there's a part of that is true, and that's the wonderful presence of God and Jesus Christ, the history that is made through those presence and those relationships. But also that idea, really, that I think the question is, what is it that God's doing with us now, and what are we missing, and what do we get to be a part of? And looking at that and just asking that question of what might be different now, and to chew on that and to think about that. And the beautiful part that I really am talking about the grace, right? I love John in the beginning of John when he talks about grace upon grace. That idea that we have a God who is willing not to just give us grace, but grace in the place of grace already given. And so that should kind of free us up a little bit, take off some of that anxiety. And I heard you talking a little bit about that with the nervousness and the stress with stuff, to be able to let that off and say, you know what, we can try some things, let's do some things. It may work, it may not, but you know what, the point is to get out there, to be known, to be willing to go out and be seen. And so I think that's something that Jason and I both feel very strongly about and are excited about this opportunity.
And you're fairly new to Las Vegas.
Yeah, about 4 months.
You're a boomerang.
I left and I came back
You left and
just
came
when
back.
I thought I was out. They pulled me back in.
But since you've been back, you've been doing some pretty interesting stuff.
There's a lot of fun things
What,
happening here.
would you like to share some?
Well, at Reformation, we started hosting a senior meal program at Reformation Lutheran Church with Lutheran Social Services and
And
the
Holy
Culinary
Spirit
Training
copied you.
Academy. And then we were able to open a second location at Holy Spirit Lutheran Church. So we're feeding people. We had a heat respite last summer, so when it was really hot out, those experiencing homelessness can come in and get out of the heat and hang out and play games and talk and eat popcorn. We are getting
like
ready for
fun.
another week of Family Promise, and you know about hosting those families at the church. We're very excited to be a part of that ministry. And
But you also do some things where you go out personally into the community.
Yeah.
I've seen you on occasion hanging out at a local.
you're saying I hang out in bars, Devra?
Actually, well, I have seen you hang out in a bar.
Yeah, well,
Him
we
sings.
did beer and hymns, and because I think that's just two great tastes that go great together, beer and hymns, and it's another one of those opportunities to connect to each other, to connect through music and connect in our communities. One of the favorite parts of that I love is you go into a place that a little brewery or pub and you start playing Amazing Grace, and all of a sudden you'll always hear someone go, well, I don't know church, but I know that
I
song.
know that
Right.
song.
Yeah, and they kind of gets their attention. So,
It
I go,
connects
what are
to
these
the
guys
heart.
about? They're a little different, and,
Right.
Yeah.
but it's all about Jesus. It's not about us and all that stuff. So,
Absolutely.
I love the grace upon grace. That's
Yeah.
yeah. So where can people find you individually? Where are your churches located?
Reformation Lutheran Church is downtown. We've been there for 70 years in Las Vegas. That's right. It's
You're
our
old.
70th anniversary.
Yeah.
Yep,
Wow.
that's right. And we're at 580 East St. Louis and 6th Street, downtown by the Stratosphere.
Yeah. And Holy Spirit Lutheran Church is up in the northwest area of town, just north of Summerlin, right? I'm kind of new, so I'm getting used to all of it. But 6670 West Cheyenne Avenue. And you can check us out on our website, too, Holy Spirit Lutheran Church, LasVegas.org.
Thank you. I'm so grateful that you're both here. But
Totally.
as we're getting ready to close up, but one final thought of what would you like to see for the church to be? People as the church. A vision
How much
for-
time do we have?
About
40
40
seconds.
seconds.
40 seconds. All right. Go ahead.
Fluid.
Go ahead.
Fluid. Okay.
Yeah.
Willing to move.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Faithful yet changing.
Faithful and
Yeah,
changing.
that's
Good. I like
Because
that.
God is still creating.
And
Right.
God is still faithful.
Yeah.
Right.
Still doing stuff with us. All of us.
Well, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah.
We love you. We're excited
we're
for this,
excited for this.
and we're
Thank
excited
you.
to watch and see where this goes, because we'll be chewing on this.
Yes,
right.
and then we
Thank
will
you.
be back on every fourth Monday
Fourth Monday
at
All
4
right.
o'clock.
at 4.
We'll
All
be
right.
there. I'm watching.
We're tuning in.
That's right.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
of course.
appreciate
And
it.
thank you all for watching.
Thank you for being with us. God bless.